was late last winter when this happened, and I still can't shake the feeling it left me with. I had just moved to a new city for work, not knowing anyone and trying to get adjusted to life on my own. My new apartment wasn't great, but it was cheap. It was an old building in a quieter part of town, and I figured it was a good place to start. The rent was affordable, and that was all that really mattered to me at the time. My first few weeks were pretty uneventful, nothing out of the ordinary. I'd get home from work, cook dinner, maybe watch some TV, then crash early. But about a month into living there, weird things started happening. They were small things at first, things I could easily write off. Like, I'd leave a light on in the living room when I went to bed, and when I woke up, it would be off. Or sometimes I'd hear noises from the apartment next door that sounded almost like whispers, but I figured it was just the walls being thin. But one night, something happened that I couldn't brush off. I had just gotten home from work and was feeling unusually tired, so I decided to go to bed early. I was in the middle of some half-asleep days when I heard it. It was a slow, deliberate creaking sound. Like someone walking very, very carefully. My heart started pounding in my chest, but I tried to stay calm. I told myself it was probably just the floorboards settling or something. But the noise kept going, like whoever was making it was moving closer. I tried to convince myself it was in my head, but then I heard something that chilled me to my core. Breathing. It wasn't my own, it was shallow, uneven, and coming from somewhere in the room. I froze, staring at the ceiling in the dark, my breath caught in my throat. I listened, trying to figure out where it was coming from, but I was too scared to move. After what felt like forever, the breathing stopped. And then, the sound of creaking footsteps slowly moved away, getting quieter until everything was silent again. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I searched my apartment from top to bottom, looking for any signs that someone had broken in, but everything was locked, and nothing seemed out of place. I started to think maybe I had imagined the whole thing, but that didn't make sense either. I was wide awake by the time it happened. A few nights later, the situation escalated. I had just gotten back from running errands, and as soon as I walked into my apartment, I noticed something was off. My front door had been locked when I came home, but things inside were different. Little things, like my kitchen drawers were slightly open, and my couch cushions had been moved. But what really got to me was my bedroom. The closet door was wide open, and I always kept it shut. I started to feel paranoid, like someone was messing with me. I checked with my landlord, but he swore no one else had access to my apartment. I tried asking my neighbors if they had seen anything unusual, but no one seemed to know what I was talking about. That night, I installed a small camera in my living room. I figured if someone was getting into my apartment, I'd catch them in the act. I set it up and went to bed, hoping that the camera would give me some peace of mind. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. For most of the night, everything looked normal. There were a few random noises, but nothing out of the ordinary. But at around 3 a.m., the camera captured something that made my blood run cold. The door to my bedroom slowly opened, and a man, someone I had never seen before, stepped out. He was tall, wearing dark clothes, and moved slowly, almost cautiously. He walked into the living room and stood there for what felt like minutes, just staring in the direction of the camera. Then, without warning, he turned around and went back into my bedroom. The door closed behind him. I was frozen, staring at the screen in disbelief. How long had he been in my apartment? And where had he gone? I hadn't seen him leave. I immediately called the police, and when they arrived, they searched the entire apartment. They didn't find anyone, but when they checked the small crawlspace above my closet, they found evidence that someone had been living there. There were blankets, wrappers, and even some of my missing belongings. I moved out the next day. I still don't know how long that man had been hiding in my apartment, watching me sleep, and waiting for the perfect moment to make himself known. But I do know that if I had trusted my gut and paid attention to the warning signs earlier, maybe things wouldn't have escalated the way they did. Even now, every time I hear a creak in my new apartment, I can't help but wonder if someone's there, watching.